so fresh, looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store. Now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
What's going on, everybody? Talking Friars here. The Padres, they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Yankees in New York. They were trying to win their first series ever at Yankee Stadium in the regular season, and it looked like they could have done it, late into this ball game tonight, but a lot can happen pretty quick. Things can change pretty darn quick, and that's what happened. Dylan Cease had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning, I want to say, and then gave up the home run to Cody Bellinger, and that tied it up 1-1. And then the Padres, though, they have another lead. It was 3-1. Jackson Merrill comes through. Bogarts with the sac fly. But then Jason Adam, after having to come in because Cease exits with what Schilt labeled as cramping in his postgame presser. Grish up at the plate. Jason Adam comes in and gives up the homer. Now, that wasn't the first part of the inning that Adam came in, if that makes sense. Adam came in the 7th, goes back out there for the 8th, gives up the home run. And by the way, he walked a guy before the Grisham home run. So, shocker, a walk ends up hurting the Padres. That tied it at 3. Bottom 10th comes around, and the Yankees just play solid baseball. They bunt, runner over. Padres can't do anything about that. And then a sac fly deep left field, and the game's over. Padres had opportunities there, obviously, in that 10th inning where they had guys that you probably want up at the plate and just couldn't get the job done. Tatis struck out. And obviously there's a runner on second base here because of the runner on second and extra innings rule. Tatis strikes out. Lockridge gets on third, though, with the stolen base. Arise walks, so now it's first and third. And now you have Manny up at the plate, and he strikes out. And then Merrill gets hit, and that was not fun watching. But he gets hit, and hopefully he's going to be okay. Schilt was saying that he thought that Merrill was going to come out of it fine, but it was right after the game. We'll see. It didn't look like a very good spot to be hit. There was no guard there, obviously. It was on his back arm there when he was hitting. And Bogart struck out swinging on a changeup. We all knew what pitch was coming. Everybody in the stadium that was paying attention, because it seemed like there were a lot of Yankees fans that were more focused on the Knicks playoff game than the Yankees game, which is understandable, I guess. It's a Knicks playoff game and a Yankee regular season game. But yeah, that was disappointing to see 3 huge guys, Tatis, Manny, and Bogarts, all strike out. And it is Devin Williams on the mound, and he was pretty nasty. But he had been struggling this season, so maybe going in, maybe you're not as afraid of Devin Williams, at least as a Padres fan sitting here, as I would be in a normal year. But he comes in and does his job to keep it tied, and then obviously the Yankees go win it there in the bottom half of the inning. But yeah, it just changed so quick, where Dylan Cease, clearly, obviously his best outing of the year, he ends up having to leave. Jason Adam then has to come warm up on the mound, and he gets out of that inning quick, but then he's not used to coming out for another inning, going down and then up again. I'm not trying to make that as an excuse. I'm just stating a fact. He doesn't usually do that. Mistake pitch, for sure. Maldonado, I think he was catching, wanted it out, and then pitch ended up middle in, and Grish took it out. Shocker that Grish performed well in this series against the Padres. Not. That's got to be a great feeling, though, for Grish. And by the way, his OPS is over 1,000. That's got to feel good for him. He gets traded to the Yankees, and now against his former team, he gets to show what they're missing. I mean, the Padres, let's be honest, we're not missing Trent Grisham. We have Jackson Merrill. I'd rather have Merrill than Grisham. But, I'm just saying, it's one of those chip on your shoulder things, obviously. When a team says they don't want you, you get to homer off them multiple times in a series. That's got to be a pretty cool feeling. But, yeah, frustrating. Frustrating because, like, yesterday, yeah, whatever, bullpen. It's the best bullpen in baseball still, even after yesterday. And, you know, 12 runs in total the pitching staff gave up. And Wandy, obviously, with the batting practice, and Morahone wasn't effective. But I'm not worried about that. That was just to throw it away, whatever. They came back in game one. That was great to see. And then today, looked like they could have commanded that game, with the way that Cease was pitching. And, you know, Bellinger, that wasn't even a terrible pitch by Cease. It was out of the zone, and Bellinger got to it. With that tall stance that he has, he can get to that ball, and he hit it out. Obviously, like I said, the Jason Adam pitch, yeah, not the best pitch there to Grish. But the Yankees, they are a good team. But there's going to be few silver linings for me in this game. The one main silver lining is Dylan Cease, because the Padres need Dylan Cease, especially, in the postseason. So, and I know we're a long way away from that. It's May 7th. But to see him show the ability that he has shown in the past, obviously, show in the year 2025 that he can pitch like an ace, that was cool to see. And, it was against a pretty good lineup. Aaron Judge struck out 3 times tonight, right? And you're going up against Max Fried, who's, the best pitcher in the American League, arguably best pitcher in baseball right now, with the 1.05 ERA. I'm not looking at the other ERAs around baseball, but I think it would be hard to top that as a starting pitcher. And he goes 7 innings and gives up 1 run. And the Padres still had an opportunity to go win that game. So it sucks that, they couldn't go take that. They move on. And if they sweep the Rockies, hopefully Croney's going to come back, which is what the plan is. Expected to come back on Friday, obviously with the day off tomorrow. He comes back. If they can take care of business against a really bad team, then on the road trip overall, what would they go? 3? No. Yeah, they swept Pittsburgh. 3 plus 1, 4, 7 wins on the road trip. A 3-city road trip, you're going to take that. If they just win the series, then what? You got 6 wins on the road trip. You go, 6-3 on the road trip? Still a good road trip. And there's been bad weather, obviously. They were never going to get through this weather, weather-free, if you will. No weather problems when you got Pittsburgh, New York, and Colorado on one road trip. It's not going to go well, especially when it's still sort of early in the season. So, minimum win this series in Colorado. Hopefully you sweep. And we'll be back to feeling good about this Padres team. I'm not saying I don't feel good about them, but I think, we're probably a little down right now because they had the opportunity to take this series. Dylan Cease was throwing a no-no, and they end up losing the game. The Yankees, think about this, or just, hear me when I say this, and I'll say it twice because it is interesting. The Yankees had more runs scored than hits today. They scored 4 runs, and the Yankees had 3 hits. Again, 4 runs, 3 hits. Obviously, how does that happen? Well, there was the walk and the Grish homer. There's 2 runs right there. So, yeah. And obviously, extra innings, you score a run. They didn't get a hit there. So, you can kind of understand how that happens, but you don't, at least I don't remember seeing that a ton, in these box scores where a team has more runs than hits. Padres today, for example, 3 runs, 6 hits. Both teams made an error. Yankees 21-16. The AL East actually hasn't been as good as I thought it probably was going to be. And I think a lot of that is because the Orioles their pitching is so out of sorts right now with the injuries that they have and all that. But yeah, first place in the AL East. Yankees will be a playoff team, I think, come October. They're not fully healthy yet. There's still some guys on the IL, but still, there's names in this lineup that can do damage and obviously did do damage, like an Aaron Judge, a Cody Bellinger, Grish with a 1,000 OPS, Ben Rice 904 OPS. So really, like, if they take care of business against the bad teams on this road trip, right? Pirates, they did that. They swept them. And the Rockies, we'll see. In Colorado, who knows what the heck's going to happen then. They do that, then, like, that continues the trend of, like, okay, you're beating bad teams. That's what successful teams do, is they take advantage of those teams to stack those wins for either just continuing to keep winning games the rest of the year or in case there are speed bumps along the way, like there was when the Padres went, 2-8 or whatever in that 10-game stretch where they had those injuries. So as frustrating as it was, watching Xander strike out there, Manny strike out, Tatis strike out, really the Xander one, because sure, Devin Williams changeup nasty, but it's like everyone knows that was coming. And it's easy for me to say sitting here, obviously. I get that. But as a fan still, it's frustrating watching it. Like changeup's coming here and swings through. Xander had been doing pretty good, though, recently. So, yeah, the one silver lining I would take from this game, for sure, is Dylan Cease. Like I said earlier, showing the ability. Jackson Merrill coming back with a bang. I mean, had a homer today. That ball was crushed off Max Fried. Fried wanted that ball back immediately, and it's like, no, that ball's in the stands, dude. You're going to have to get one from the umpire. But that's a nuke. Bellinger's was hit pretty good too. But yeah, seeing Jackson Merrill back, playing center field, the weather wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, these last couple of games, or at least what the forecast was. But, Merrill yesterday, today, not just the homer that he hit, but the single, taking a ball that's up, out, and taking it the opposite way like he did to put the Padres ahead at that time in the 8th inning, 2-1, which we were hoping would have been the difference in this game. But then Cease gets... No, was that after Cease? No. Yeah, it was after Cease. Adam came back out for that 8th walk and gives up the homer. And then you go to extras and you can't execute. And the Yankees, with the advantage of seeing the Padres didn't score, so all you need is one run, they can then, instead of swing all the time, you can just lay down a bunt. And now you've got one out with the guy on third, get a ball in the air. And the Padres, in that 10th inning, let me go back there. That 10th inning, yeah, it was first and third. So they had the opportunity. Well, no, it was first and third with 2 outs. Sorry. Well, no. Lockridge was on third with 1 out because he stole third after that Tatis strikeout. Arise walked. So, yeah, there was 1 out when Manny came up to the plate. Get the ball in the air, sack fly, and you take the lead there. And you put some pressure on the Yankees, but just wasn't able to do that. Nando's swing, by the way, that looked like he was trying to hit that ball out of Yankee Stadium. Didn't love that. Stay within himself a little bit. I was hearing on the radio, was it Tony? It may have been Tony Gwynn Jr. Maybe both of them kind of were agreeing that Tatis, I wasn't watching at the beginning of the game, wasn't able to, but he was toe tapping, but then he would go back to the leg kick. And if you guys saw that, then you can let me know. But they were kind of saying like how he's just not he's searching right now a little bit. And he wasn't doing that a little bit ago. So maybe Colorado can be the spot, hopefully, to get him back to being confident if he's not right now. I prefer him, and obviously I'm not Victor Rodriguez, but I prefer that he just sticks with the toe tap because we know he has the power. We don't need, a bunch of power with the leg kick. I would like him to just keep it simple, two-hand finish, toe tap, and go. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in Colorado, how he looks. If you want to, I probably should have said this earlier. If you want to join the show, click that link pinned up at the top of the chat. Appreciate anyone that is taking the time to watch this show on YouTube or listen on the podcast platforms. Quick, some updates before I go to the chat. So Dylan Cease, after the game, he did speak to the media. Let me pull that up here for a second. AJ Caswell says here, Dylan Cease says he plans to make his next start after exiting this one with a right forearm cramp. He wanted to throw warm-up pitches and continue, but the Padres played it safe. Cease said he passed post-game tests from the training staff. And so, like, right now, it doesn't seem like it's anything, which is good. And once I heard on the radio that Cease was still in the dugout and he wasn't back, in the clubhouse, that's where I was like, okay, it must not be bad. Because if it would have been bad, wouldn't they have just took him into the clubhouse? Why would Dylan Cease still be in the dugout? So that was good. So it does not seem like Dylan Cease is hurt. But I agree to play it safe. Like, it was the 8th inning, right, when he came out of the game? No, 7th. 7th inning. At that point, obviously, Cease had done his job, going 6 2/3 and giving up 1 run, 9 punchies. Like, he did his job. So, yeah, I'm going to take my chances going to Jason Adam and going to Suarez, and who did his job, getting it to the 10th. And then Jeremiah Estrada. Like, I'm going to take that any day. And it didn't work out today, but also the offense had chances and didn't come through late as well. Croney, he's been playing in El Paso. Day off tomorrow, but I believe he was DHing today. He homered yesterday. Trying to see here if I can pull up the numbers. Game's final. Okay. So let me pull up the box score here. Croney not in the lineup, actually. Wait. Oh, no. That was the other team. Croney went 1 for 2 today. Three plate appearances. 1 for 2. 2 runs scored. He walked once, struck out once. So, yeah. And he didn't play second today. He DH'd. But he played second yesterday. Has it always been like this where there's only a couple of rehab games for players? Because I feel like only a couple of rehab games. Do they need to be doing the rehab games then? Like, for example, Merrill and Croney, they were both in Arizona, right? And they played in like rookie ball complex league games. That's not double A, that's not triple A for, Croney, for example. But do they need to go to El Paso to get 4 at-bats? I don't know. Padres know more than me, so the answer is probably yeah. And who knows what maybe the player wants to do that because they want to face better pitching than, rookie ball, complex league, whatever. But I feel like if you're going to go down there for 4 or 5 games, okay, but 2 games, that's it. Is there the need for that? I don't know. All right, getting to the chat here. Yeah, sweep the Rockies. That is definitely the goal. Adam kept throwing low inside to Grisham. Adam blew this game and blew Cease's amazing performance. I don't think 6 2/3 with 9 Ks really displays how dominant Cease was today. Okay. I wasn't able to watch the entire C start, but yes, he did obviously look pretty dominant from what I saw. And yeah, going inside to Grish, especially when it's not a fastball, yeah, that's probably not going to end up very well, especially when you're playing at Yankee Stadium and we know Grish will just pull that ball. Ray says tough loss, but hey, sweeping and losing a series is the same as winning 2 series. That's true. Yeah. 4-2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Adam missed location, screwed everyone. He was terrible. He's not going to be terrible very many games. So, and he wasn't terrible when he first came in to get that last out of the 7th. Red Devil NC says afraid to face Merrill, F the Yankees, coward relief pitcher. Um, he's. You think Devin Williams is trying to hit Merrill there? Like, come on. Let's use some common sense. I don't know what Tatis, Machado, and Xander were doing. Look, Tatis again, like when he struck out, it looked like he was swinging to hit that ball out of the stadium. Manny, his final strike was a fastball, I want to say, that he swung through. And then Xander, we all knew a changeup was coming and he missed. So, yeah, that was definitely disappointing, but it's going to happen. And Devin Williams, he's one of the best relievers in baseball when he pitches like he did tonight. He was pitching much better than how he had been pitching. Yankees won the Soto trade. Okay. They acquired Juan Soto to win the World Series. Did they win the World Series? No, they did not. Now, have the Padres won it? No. The Yankees have gone farther than the Padres so far with the guys that they got in those trades, respectively, right? But it's still TB. Like, what if the Padres can lock down Michael King somehow, or they go win the World Series this year? The Yankees probably have the edge right now because going to the World Series is pretty darn close to winning it, and that was their goal with Soto. But he also was there for 1 year, and then he went to the team in across New York there to one of the other boroughs. Like, that's not great either. Caesar says Soto trade was a win-win. Yeah, I think it was more of a win-win um, than like one team winning or losing it. It's really only going to be like clear if someone wins the World Series, and I guess the Yankees could go win it and Grish, be big, and that helps them win it because Grish was part of it. But the main guy, they didn't go win the World Series with him, and he's gone already. Bogarts is not a difference maker. Different maker? I think you meant difference maker. It's like a 8th place batter striking out. Well, I guess you haven't been watching the last like week or so. He has been a difference maker. Didn't happen tonight, but he has been. Mike says, let's not make any excuses for this loss today. It was a team effort and they blew it. Good teams win this game. What? So you're saying the Padres aren't a good team because they didn't win today, they aren't a good team. That's what you're saying? And I'm reading it again. Good teams win this game. So the Padres aren't a good team. Both the Yankees and look at this. This can be true. Padres and Yankees are both good teams. And both teams can't win this game. And sometimes there's a reliever on the other side that it's his night, and for you, the batter, it's not your night. I'm not trying to make an excuse here. The Padres should have won this game, but every team in baseball loses games that they should have won at some point in the game. That's what it is. It's a long season. Andre says Grisham's on PEDs. You know, I think it's easy to say in hindsight. Should have played strategy in bonus baseball, not slug. Yeah, I mean, with Lockridge, kind of makes sense, right? Where you have speed, get him on third base like he was on third base, and maybe there's one out, let's say, if you bunt him over. Now, there was one out on third base anyway, so it doesn't matter how that happened. He was there. And then after that, it was just a couple of strikeouts. The Yankees got the guy over to third, and the batter didn't strike out. That was the difference. He got the ball in the air, deep to left, and the game's over. And the Padres were not able to do that. Manny struck out, and Xander struck out. But Devin Williams is nasty. At least he was tonight. All right, before getting back to the chat, I want to shout out some of the great partners of this show. Gaglione Bros Famous Cheesesteak and Garlic Fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. They've got the expanded menu, the full menu, at that Friars Road location, so you can check them out. Again, link in the description, address, phone number, all that good stuff. They're at Petco Park. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium. San Diego Wave playing at home this weekend, so if you want to go to the game and enjoy some Gagliones there, you can. Padres will be back home after the Colorado series, starting up next week. SDFC will be back home after they play at St. Louis this weekend. Obviously, SDFC coming off a really good win. So, yeah, Gaglione Bros. Cheesesteak fries, cheesesteaks, garlic fries. That's what they've got over there at Petco Park during Padre games and those Petco Park events. Freestyle Cut and Stitch. They are a San Diegan, it's run by a San Diegan, I should say, local brand. And that brand allows you to express your personality and kind of show it off. Like you can support one of your favorite players like Jackson Merrill. And then do you like the 98 design? Do you like just brown and gold? Do you like pinstripes? What City Connect? And you can kind of show that off there in a different way while supporting a San Diegan as well. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. FreestyleCutAndStitch.com. They're on Instagram, Freestyle Cut and Stitch. 10% off any future order with the code Talking Friars. And yeah, check them out. It's not just, Merrill. There's definitely a lot of other players as well. And if you want to customize something that, maybe you have an idea and you want to customize it, go to the website, contact them, and they'll try to make that happen for you. So make sure to check them out. And the same code, by the way, Talking Friars, will get you $20 off your first order on SeatGeek when you sign up with your email. And then Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. If you're more of a shirt person, more than a jersey person, then Breaking Tea is the place for you. They've got some cool player design shirts, Tatis and Merrill and a lot of other Padre players. So I encourage you to check them out as well. Some Padres players have worn Breaking T-shirts in the past, just like Padres players have worn and still wear the Freestyle Cut and Stitch basketball jerseys, during batting practice and stuff at Petco. So again, make sure to check those brands out there, trying to help you out with some of those discounts. All right. Anything else before getting back to the chat that I wanted to go through here? Let me check social media again one more time to see if I missed any quotes or anything. One of the quotes, our guys went out there and battled all night. They deserve to win that game, so it makes it sting a little bit more. Yeah, like should have won the game, but had an opportunity to come through even after surrendering or, giving up both of those leads and Yankees coming back and tying it and just wasn't able to make it happen. Aaron Boone said after the game, It was a great game. It really was just a really well played game by two quality teams. Yeah, it's well said. Yankees are a good team. Padres are a good team. Both teams can't win the game. So just because the Padres lost this game doesn't mean that they're not a good team. It'll happen. C saying here it was just a forearm cramp. This is from Kevin Acey, by the way. So thanks to him. It was just a forearm cramp. It basically made my hand close tight for a couple seconds. I don't think it's anything too serious. I honestly was going to throw some more pitches and see, but I think the smart thing was to do what we did there. Expects to make his next start. Jason Adam on that changeup to Grish. It was just a bad pitch. I think if I execute there, I like my chances, obviously. I tried to bury it. I think I climbed it a little bit, so it took some depth away and then put it in a bad spot. He had seen the good one, so that one looked extra fat. Did a good job hitting it. Honestly, my bigger regret on the night was the walk, and that totally makes sense. It was a free pass. At least Grish hit the homer, just gave him first base, and it wouldn't have been a tie game if you don't walk the guy, right? If I get the first guy out, and then if they do the same thing to Grisham, we're still up one. So walks suck, especially when you don't execute after. Yeah, it just compounds the issue, obviously. Let's see. Any more? Jason Adam, by the way, was the one that said they deserve to win that game, so it makes it sting a little bit more. I did want to touch on Michael King real quick. Yesterday, he said Padres lost 12-3, obviously. The score does not show like how close it was for a lot of the game. But Michael King goes 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and he said after the game that he had nothing. That he was too rotational, is what he was saying, instead of being more direct to the plate. And if that's his nothing, 6 innings, 2 runs against the Yanks at Yankee Stadium, then we're going to be pretty fine with Michael King. And it's not like I'm worried about Michael King, but I thought that was funny, to be honest, when I saw that Michael King said he had nothing. And he goes 6 innings still and gives up 2 runs. So maybe that's another positive from this series. But, Wandy, holy cow, that was batting practice. I was watching the highlights, and I thought that he had gone 100 pitches almost. That's what it felt like. But because it was batting practice. But he only went 26. Morhone only went a third of an inning, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. With what happened here this series, I'm not really freaking out about anything. If people want to freak out about Xander and the strikeout, maybe you can be mad about that and that, from that situation right there. Sure. But recently Xander has been performing better offensively. And no, I'm not worried about Manny. I'm not worried about Tatis. I could be frustrated by what happened, but not worried about him. Ray says, thanks, Ben, for your work. No, thank you guys for tuning in. Much appreciated. JD's third asks, where's the offense? Non-existent. Merrill can't do it alone. I mean, did you forget game 1 of the series where Merrill wasn't playing and Manny came through and Xander came through and Arise scored? I mean, guys have been coming through pretty recently. Did you forget the sweep? The series prior where other guys came through? It hasn't just been Merrill. Now, if you're talking about literally today and yesterday, I guess, yeah, Merrill was the big guy. But that's going to happen. The Yankees, again, they're a good team. It's going to happen. Good question, Albert. Is Jackson Merrill okay from the hit by pitch? AC didn't have that in his story that I just read. Maybe he'll update it. It seems like he is going to be okay. I should mention that it was Schilt's post game, so it was right after the game. But he was mentioning that Merrill seems to be fine. I'm not quoting him, but essentially seems to be fine, and he doesn't expect this to impact him, you know, long term or anything. I don't know if you guys saw the John Boy breakdown of the ejection, the Schilt ejection from the other night, but it's funny. You should go check it out. I think I quote tweeted it today. There are some things in there, when Schilt was holding up his fingers, it wasn't about how many missed calls. It was about how many guys have been ejected while Mike Schilt's been a Padre manager. Like he was saying, why are you ejecting Tatis there? My guys don't get ejected. We respect the umpires. We don't, what are you doing there? Why are you ejecting him before you're ejecting me? Like shouldn't have happened. Again, defending his play. He wasn't even like pissed. Maybe he was pissed about the call, but he was more pissed that Tatis got ejected. Like, what are we doing there? And I don't totally know what Tatis said there. John Boy couldn't pick it up either, but I doubt that it was, super terrible that he should have been run. I know I'm bouncing all over the place here, but I saw Emma Stone, Dave McCary supporting the Padres first row at Yankee Stadium today. Their fits are sick. Emma's hat and then Dave's whole combo. Emma's jacket too, but Dave's whole combo. He had a Ruben Niebla jersey on under his jacket. Ruben Niebla jersey. That's sick. Obviously, they were at Citi Field, Padres Mets wild card series, so it's cool that they were there today. And that video was going viral of Emma Stone and Dave reacting to C striking out Judge right behind the plate. It's funny. All right. Anything else from the chat here before I wrap it up? More Dodger fans in the chat. Shocker. Before getting out here, I did want to go through the probables for the Padre Rocky series. Vasquez on Friday, 540. Kolek on Saturday, 5:10. And then Sunday, Pavetta, 12:10 p.m. And then back home at Petco on Monday to start a new series against the Angels, the 14-20 Angels. They were off to a good start, and then Mike Trout gets hurt. And not that I thought they were going to be a playoff team anyway, but I like seeing when the Angels do have some success. I mean, they're not a rival. They're in the American League. They're still close. And I want Mike Trout's one of those guys that I want to see his team have success and him stay on the field. So we'll see. Yeah, so Padres Rockies this weekend. Wave hosts the Thorns at Snapdragon on Saturday night. SDFC is going to be at St. Louis on Saturday. So some good events coming up this weekend. Alrighty. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your day, whenever you're listening or watching this. Appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys later.